Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. In this tutorial, we are going to be creating a personal helper CLI bot with Python and Perl API. Now let's see how the program is going to work. Helper.py. Then how do I get user input in Python? Now it's going to use palm.chat. It is indicating that it is using palm.chat. And see, yeah, it has returned it. There are a few ways to get user input in Python. One way is to use input and so on, and this, and so on. Now we can also, let's clear the console. We can also pass in a flag to it. Helper.py and what is the name of the method for adding new items to set in Python? And I would like to just change the tweak that the name of the method for adding new item to set in Python is, then I'll pass in the flag completion. Yeah, that's the flag. Now you see that it says using palm.generate text. When I added the flag, you see it only returned the method, and with no explanation. This is useful if you forgot the, like if you are working on a set and you forgot the method for adding items to a set. That's just taken for an instance, just for an instance. That's just for an instance, or anything that is related to that also. And instead of this full completion, we can pass in another stuff, like let's ask it another thing. Python 3 helper.py, the name of the method for converting a string to an array in Python is, then we can also use C, my -c instead of dash completion. See, it's also going to use palm.generate text also. Waiting for it. Yeah, you see, it's returned the name of the method. Yeah, so this is what we are going to be doing in this tutorial, and I would like to say this before we move on. You can also make this helper file to be able to run, or you should be able to call it from anywhere or any directory on your computer. But that I did not cover in this tutorial, but I'm going to provide a link to a tutorial that I made on how to do something like that. I'm going to link the tutorial in the description of this tutorial, and also after this tutorial the link is going to be available. It's going to show after this tutorial, so you can go on and watch it. And if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please don't forget to subscribe. Now let's go on to the full tutorial. We're going to be using Jupyter Notebook for this tutorial, and if you don't have Jupyter Notebook installed yet, I'm going to put the link to the documentation on how to install Jupyter Notebook. That is, it's just the link to the PyP repository of Jupyter Notebook. Okay. Sorry. Jupyter Lab. So I'm going to start a Jupyter Lab session in the directory of this tutorial. I've created a directory for this tutorial that we are going to be using in this tutorial. So this terminal is going to be running the Jupyter Lab server, and this terminal is going to be the one that we are going to be using to run our script. Okay, let's just see what is in the directory of the helper. I have created an m file that contains my key, my Makersuite key, and it is inside the m file. Okay, let's start a new, and let's just rename it to helper. Okay, now let's introduce the Makersuite. Let's talk about the Makersuite. Now, to get access to this API, the PALM API, to get access to the PALM API, you have to get the access through Makersuite. And to get the access, just come to Makersuite. I'm going to put the link to Makersuite in the description of this tutorial. Just come to Makersuite, then request access to it, and I think it should be opened now because I was given the access when I requested for the access, and I was granted the access. But I don't know, by now it should have been an open API that you can just come and access it. But don't worry. Anyway, I'm going to put the link to this page in the description of this tutorial. Okay, now then, after you've been granted access, or if you were able to log in straight without waiting for the access, then just create a new API key. Then we are going to go from there. Now, the next thing is to install the Google Generative API. Now just come here, then run pip or pip3 install Google Generative API. Then that's all that is required for the setup. Okay, then when you've installed the generative API, then we can move on. Then one more library that is going to be needed for this tutorial is the load.env. Env is the load.env library. python-dotenv is the python-dotenv library. That's what we are going to be using to load the environmental variable that is inside the env file, that is inside this env file. Okay, enough of the introduction. Let's go straight into it. Now, inside our Jupyter Notebook, after importing the generative API as PALM, we're going to import OS and also from .env import load.env, then call load.env here. Yeah. Okay. Now the API key is also called the key for the API inside my m file is also called API key, so I don't need to change anything. And also this is the method for including an API key into Python program. Okay, now let's start. After configuring PAM, then we are going to be using two methods: the generative text and also the chart text. The generative text is like a text completion that you can use to just do a quick lookup for something. Like if you forget a method, you can just quickly ask it that what is the method that is used for this in JavaScript. Then it's just going to run, then return the name to you directly, just like this. Okay, now let's do this first. Let's call it generative to pam.generate. Then let's run this first, and we can now print. Now let's run it. See, it's now running. Now you see it returned the output straight up. Now let's get we don't need all these other data that was returned. The only thing we need is the results. Let's try to get the results. So let's run it again. Still running. Okay, see, it returns. This is the results. Okay, now the next thing is, let's check this also. pam.chart. What should we call this? Let's just call it response, and let's comment this out. And we are going to be using the prompt. Then you can say how do I convert a string to integer in Python. Okay, response. And while this is running, let's look at other stuff. Now for this chart, there are other options for it, like the model. You can specify the model, the context, examples, messages. Messages is kind of related to prompt. Then the temperature for uniqueness, the candidate count, and you can just come down to this section and learn more about them. But I'm not going to be explaining much on them in this tutorial. I'm going to put the link in the description of this tutorial. Alright, and one more stuff we need is the temperature. You see it has returned the response. So what we actually need from all this stuff that was returned is something that is around here. Yes, the candidates. The candidates contains the responses, the different responses. You can pass candidates to it if you want it to return more than one response. but for the sake of this tutorial, we are only going to be using the default candidate, which is 1. Okay, and temperature is going to be 1.0. Okay, now let's get the candidates. Dot candidate, then the first item, then the contents. You only need the contents. Okay, contents. We only need the contents, which is this, which contains the response from the model. Okay, now let's check it again. And this also, the generate text also can also take temperature, and the temperature is just it controls the randomness of the outputs and must be positive and can range from 0.0 to 1.0. Okay, now you see this is the response. It was formatted by Jupyter Notebook, and it's also going to be formatted by the command line. Is also going to be formatted by the command line, because the response contains new line character, which is this. Okay, now the next thing we need to do is take this and put it inside an ID, a real file. And let's create a file called okay, let's just open it inside VS Code. Let's open it inside VS Code, and now let's create a new file called helper.py. Okay, now let's grab this code and paste it here. Okay, now we can try it again with the command line, and let's see python-3 helper.py. Waiting for it. So we are also going to be, as you can see, the command line also formatted it just the way Jupyter Notebook also formatted it. So this is it. Now the next thing we need to do is, because to input a new prompt, it's not going to make sense to have to open the file every time we want to prompt, or we want the helper to generate something for us. Like, it's not going to make sense to just open the file every time. Because of that, we are going to be using the command line, and it's going to be something like this: python-3. Okay, let me just clear the console. python-3 helper.py, then the prompt that we want, which is going to be something like this, and the prompts that we want. And also we can also pass in a flag to it, because we are going to be doing like implementing two functions. We're going to be implementing two functions: the auto completion, the text completion, and also the answer generation, something like that, because we are going to be doing two. So we are going to need a flag, and the flag can be either completion or just pass -c to it. So let's see how we can do that. Now to do that, we need the sys module. Now after loading the .env, we need to get the content, like the value of the command line arguments, the value of the command line of arguments, which is going to be args then sys.argv. Now let's print out the value of the command line, and let's see what's really what the command line argument contains. Sorry. Oh, let's stop it. Okay, I'm just going to comment all this out. Now you see, this is the command line argument. What it does is that the value of the command line argument contains the name of the file, and also other stuff, other things after the name of the file. So the name of the file comes first, then other stuff that we passed to it are going to be added to the argument array, and they will be separated by space. So since we know this, so we can implement it like that. So because we don't need this helper.py file name, so we are going to be splitting from the first from the item on index 1. We are going to be getting the argument from the item on index 1 to the end of the index. Okay. Now another thing we need to check is we need to check if we are trying to use the completion function or the normal chat function, if we are trying to use the generate text or the chat text or the chat function. So let's say is completion. That's going to be, so we are going to be checking for this completion. If the completion is inside the environment, the command line arguments, if in args or in args. Okay, let's check this out. Okay, you see it returns 2. Now if we remove the both of them, it's going to return false. Now it's now false. Now that is how to check if we are trying to use the generate text or the chat. Now let's use the is completion variable here. If is completion, then let's use the completion. So this should be at the top here. Else then we are going to be using this chart. Now if this is true, we need to remove it from the argument. Now how do we remove it? It's going to be x for x in args if x is not equal to completion or x is not equal to c. Now let's just comment this out and check the value of the args again, because it's going to be removed. X for x in args if x is not equal to okay, we can do it the other way, like x if else. Now let's check it again. Two. Completion. Got removed. It seems is the or that I put. If x yeah, that was the mistake. So you can just return it back to the former value. Yeah. Okay, now let's move on. The next thing we're going to do is to convert this array and join all the values in the array and convert it to string like so. Dot join. Okay, and we're going to join them with space. Now this is going to be converted to a string, and we can check it again. Yeah, it has been converted to a string. Okay, now we can comment this. Arg. Now instead of this hard-coded prompt, let's just pass in arg and replace these two. Now the response is now going to be just the content. It seems like the both of them has different outputs, while this is generative dot output. Okay, this is all. Now let's check it out. Let's clear the console and python-3 helper.py, and first, if we don't pass any flag to it, that is, if we don't pass the completion flag to it, it's going to use this is going to use the chart instead. Now let's use the chart. How to convert list to string in Python. Now is now running our code. Now another stuff I would like to add is I want to know what the program is doing at a particular time. Okay, now as you can see, this is the response. There are several ways to convert a list to a string in Python. The most common way is to use the stir join. Okay, that is it. Now here I would like to just add some logins to it. Print configuring API, then this passing CLI arguments. CLI argument passed. Then here checking is actually not needed, but let me add it. Checking command type. Then the next is if it is this, then log this waiting. Okay, generating response for the args using python-dotenv text. Same thing goes here. Generating response for using python-dotenv. Okay. Now let's check it out again. Let's clear the console. And this time around, let's add the completion python-3 helper.py. Then what should we search for? Okay, the method for splitting string to an array in Python is is what. Then let's add the completion flag to it. See, generating response for completion object has no attribute output. Oh, okay. Generating response for the method. Okay, it is trying to look for split s equals hello world. For example, okay, it is result. Okay, let's check it. Let's try it again. And generating response for method. Okay, now this is the response. There are a few ways to split. That's going to be, now this is the response. Okay, temperature 1.0. Now I just want it to return the name of the method. Is, yeah, you see, is stir or split. Yeah, this is more minimal compared to this. Okay, now this is what the programs consist of. There are, you can add other stuff to it. You can add other stuff to it. Now we've come to the end of the tutorial, and also please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't subscribed before. And if you like this video, please give it a thumb up. If you don't like it, please let me know in the comment section, and please tell me what I can do to improve my videos. Thank you. See you in the next tutorial.